All right, we're back. We are COMP123 in the summer 2019 semester at Centennial, and we're week 7, equivalent 8. Part 2 of our broadcast, the challenge solution for part 1. All right, so what was the challenge? We wanted to make a simple, another label. When we clicked on the button, it would have hold a random number between 1 and 49. How would I do that? Really fast way of doing it would be like this. Take your initial label, all right? Copy it, Control C. And then Control V, right? If you did Control C, Control V, it creates another label with the same styling already. No need to change anything. Number 1, shortcut. 2, let's change this thing so that it says 99, like I said, right? So we can size the label properly. And then I can pull this over here really quickly. There's my label, 99. And we can rename this thing. So it says random number label. Random number label. Hey, excellent. That's like step 2 or 3. All right, cool. Well, guess what? When I click on my button, what I really want is my random number label to change. I can do it in one line, and then I'll break it out for you. So this is how long it would take. Look, random number label, right, is .text is equal to, what do we want? We want it to change into a random number. So I would like to do something like this, right? Random.next. I want to do this. Random, right? I could do new random.next. I could do new random, right? .next. I could do that. And I want to go from 1 to 49, but it gives me 1 to 48 because it doesn't do it inclusive. Plus 1. But the problem with this is that it's not a string. So I could do something like this. This is kind of dirty, but it works. And I'm done, right? I could do that with one line of code. And when I run this thing, I mean, yeah, it gives me 99, and I can click on it, and it would work, right? So that's the solution. That's the dirty solution. But we can do better. We can do better than this, right? This is no good. We can do this. We can say something like, and I can break it down into 2 lines. I can say that my integer, which is my random number, random number, I could say that is equal to all this. I could say that. I could say that it's equal to all this stuff, right? Because some people like to think separately, and it's not going to hurt you to do this. 2 lines is not going to be any worse than 1 line in your case. So I could do this. That's probably better too. I have to convert it to a string. One learning from this one is whenever I have a numerical value that I want to put on a form, it must be converted to a string. Okay, number 1. Because form stuff is all strings. Anything you see, right? And by the way, the other way around too. I'm going to ask you next on Wednesday to take a value from the form and put it back into it. Do some calculation. Anything that's in the form is a string. You have to convert from a string back into an integer or a float. Okay? So we always have to do this. By the way, the stuff I'm telling you right now works in iOS, Android, and any other form compatible system. Anything you make. All of it is strings. You have to make it a string and convert back from a string. Okay? In any mobile platform. Okay. So this is cool, but this is not good, right? It'll still work the same way. But take a look here. I mean, it still gives me 99 originally, right? I don't want 99. I want it to automatically generate a number. I didn't ask you for this, but this is the nice thing to do. And this is not good here because my click me button, it has extra pieces of code. And what if I want this code to be done again? I'd have to duplicate myself. So best way to do it is extract into a method. So extract method, right? Which automatically does a method. We'll just call this the generate random number method. Sure. Which will apply. We'll actually say what it does, right? This method generates a random number between 1 and 49. Sure, that's all it does right now, but at least it's better. And now you can see that generate random number is here inside the click me button click event. And if you notice here, I can also put it part of the start event, the start method. So generate random number, generate. Ooh. And now, my friends, in under 5 minutes, you can see that when you go here, I get a random number. And when I click a bunch of times, I always get a random number. Set up. Yes? Sure, I can do that again. So I can undo. Let's undo all those changes, right? So actually, I'll just do it again. If I want to extract this part to another event, to another method, I can right-click on the stuff I've highlighted, like this, and go to Quick Actions and Refactorings. And notice it can extract the method by default. I can extract this code and create another method right out of this code. It'll wrap the code in another method, and it'll put the method name where the code was, which is actually really quick, okay? And that's what I did. So some of these are tricks and tips you should know how to do, right? Extracting methods, renaming stuff, all the things we talked about that you should know already in Visual Studio. All right, let's review what we did today, right? Because this is all I want to take you, as far as I want to take you today, right? And by the way, all this stuff we did with random numbers and stuff, it's a review. You guys should know how to do this stuff with random numbers. You should have been taught this already. If not, if it's new, good learnings. Also, the ternary operator, if that's new, then you should know how to do this right now, right? That's learnings as well. But what did we learn? We learned that there's two things we can do. We can use design time, so design things here, and we can modify them in runtime so they look different and respond. Do we have behavior that we can look at in runtime? Again, this is not the most exciting form we've created. We've also done things like properties, which is really important. We've learned that everything we click inside of our Windows forms, we have control of in the properties window on the right. Anything we click on here has its own context menu that comes up with different properties. And there's differences between the click me button, because it's a button, and the hello world form, hello world label, which is because it's a label, right? They have slight different properties. A button can be clicked by default. A label, not so much. A button has hover over and hover out events. A label does not. Although you can make everything work the way you like. You have total control if you know how to do it. Okay, so that's what we've learned how to do. We've also talked about the difference between object-oriented programming code. We said that, you know what, inheritance is not always the solution. We want to do things by composition. And here is a good example, a good use case of where composition might work better than inheritance, right? Because we're composing things, we're putting things together. These things we put in here, the label and the buttons, are actual objects that we're including in this form, right? We've talked about partial classes today, right? We've talked about how we can have one part of the class be here in one file and another part of the class be in another file. And let's quickly take a look at that, that other part of the class. If I was to look at my Solution Explorer here, and you can see that I have my Hello World Form Designer, right? You can see here that this is generated code. Look, here's all my generated code. Here's my Hello World back color, border style, all this stuff. My Click Me button, my random number label. Look how much code there is generated for us. Tons. And I didn't do any of this. Microsoft did all of it. It even created the event listeners right here. Okay? So that's what, it can happen. You have this part that's automatically generated, and it's hidden in this Hello World Designer. And you also have this part that is weak code right here. This is our code that we're using here, right? And that's the code behind file. Okay? Naming conventions. We talked about naming conventions for controls. We said that it's probably better that a control has the proper name, right? Like Click Me button. Look, Click Me button. And Hello World label, right? And random number label. These are all named differently because I can have a lot of different buttons and labels. And it's hard to identify which one we want to modify through code, right? So this is one way of doing it, okay? Next day when we get together, right, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to learn more about GitHub, because right now what we've done is we've talked about GitHub and we've talked about some basic controls. Next day I'm going to introduce more controls, some of the ones that they talked about inside the PowerPoints. If you look at the PowerPoints and read ahead, you'll be more comfortable with some of the controls that I'm going to be talking about on Wednesday. One last thing before I let you guys go. I want to put this up on GitHub. How do I do that? I want to share my files with you, my solution, which might be different than your solution on GitHub, so you can see it, right? And by the way, the things I've done for my challenge solution is not the only way you can do it. There's many, many different ways to show the exact same thing in a different way, okay? So let us do it. Let's go to Team Explorer. So GitHub and Microsoft in general has this thing that's built in called Team Explorer, all right? I don't expect you to do this. You don't have to follow me now. I just want you to watch, because you're going to do this on Wednesday, right? Remember that GitHub, there's two parts of GitHub. There's Git, which is the code that's on your system. There's an application that runs on your system called Git, right? It's local only to your system. And then there's GitHub, which is the cloud service. We're not connected right now, okay? My system is not connected to GitHub. I have to connect to GitHub. I have to push everything to GitHub. And then I'm going to pull everything from GitHub when I want code, right? So this pushing and pulling is like uploading and downloading. That's what I'm doing. I don't have direct control over the stuff I put up on GitHub. The stuff I put on GitHub is not like Google Drive or Dropbox or something like that. It is a repository. It's a container that I'm going to store my files. And it's going to keep track of all the versions of my files as I go. That's what GitHub does, all right? So here, all I want to do is create. I want to kind of mark what my changes are. And the way I mark my changes or take a snapshot of my current code, it's called a commit. We're going to talk about this on Wednesday. So I'm going to go to changes, and it shows me my changes. These are the things I changed. I changed my form. I deleted my form 1. I renamed it to something else. Here's my hello world form. But these are the things that I've changed. Hello world form and my program.cs. Okay, cool. And I'm going to say something like added controls for a demo project. Hello world. So very simple. That's the name of my snapshot. It's called a commit. All right. Again, you're going to learn about this on Wednesday. I'm going to click commit all. And what this does is says, okay, cool. I've committed my changes. I've taken a snapshot of my code. That's what I've done. Okay. And now what I want to do is I want to click on sync. And what it's going to do is going to say, well, I don't have anything that I'm synced up with right now. I haven't created a connection between you and GitHub. How do I do that? Well, you can click on publish to GitHub, but you may not have this option. Why? Because you have to go to tools, extensions and updates, and add a new tool to your Visual Studio. If you click online, you can search for Git like this. And what it'll come up with is online, there'll be an extension for GitHub extension for Visual Studio. Guys, I want you guys to download this for yourself for next week. All right? Or Wednesday. I'll be okay. Next day. Right? And if you don't remember, we'll do it together. Okay? But this little extension for Visual Studio is very handy because I can connect to GitHub directly without any command line. Otherwise, you have to use command line and a bunch of weird stuff happens. Okay? So I want to add that in. And when I do that, I have this little publish to GitHub option that comes up. If I click publish to GitHub, right, I can choose my account. So here's Centennial College. This is how it works. And I can choose the name of my repository, my container where I'm going to store everything. And then I can just click publish. And my friends, once I click that publish button, guess what happens? It's up and live. So if I go back to GitHub and I look at my GitHub repo, which would be way far away from me right now, github.com/Centennial College. Let's go there. Under Centennial College, you'll see all of our code, and there's 7C. That's for you. All right, if I click on 7C, you can see that when I look in there, one day when it wants to respond to me, when I look in there, you can see that under my helloworld.cs, you'll see all the code stuff that we just did. So this is how I'm going to track everything with you. Every time I get together with you, I'm going to make a new repo. I'm going to put it up. You're going to have all my code examples. You can have access to all my code examples even on your test. It won't help you. You won't have time. Truly. Unless you're desperate, right? No, truly, you won't. You'd be desperate to try and look there, right? You should know what you're doing by following along and doing things with me. But it'll be there just in case. And also for an assignment. If you need something on an assignment, you can go to my code examples, and there's some help for you guys. Okay, but here's how we're going to share stuff together. All right, you're also going to have your own repos and your own account that you're going to do starting Wednesday, right? So keep that in mind. If you haven't signed up for GitHub yet, sign up because you're going to need it going forward for any assignment or lab starting on Wednesday. You're going to need GitHub, so please sign up if you haven't done that. Okay, so that's GitHub in a nutshell, and that's it for me for today. We'll meet again on Wednesday. And we'll go from there. Now, you guys are what time on Wednesday? I know 8:30, right? 7:30 in the morning? 6:30? No? Oh, 10:30. Right, okay. So 10:30 on Wednesday, we're going to get together. And at 10:30, you'll be my first class. 10:30, you guys are going to be doing my first lab. There will not be a recording during your class. It's going to happen on the last class that I have, right? So you guys are going to be the challenge people. I'm going to challenge you guys because there's no lab, there's no recording. You can't cheat, in other words, right? So be prepared. I'm letting you know. Take a look at the PowerPoints ahead of time. It's not going to be that difficult. It's going to be a little exercise with GitHub. And I will be presenting what GitHub is to you in a more detailed manner, okay? Guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you next day on Wednesday at 10:30.